In the ever-evolving world of the Kardashian-Jenner clan, where glamour, ambition and familial bonds intertwine in a tapestry of reality television drama, few moments capture the raw authenticity of sisterhood quite like Kendall Jenner's recent confession on the Kardashians. The episode, which delved deep into the nostalgic recesses of their teenage years, painted a vivid picture of sibling rivalry not rooted in malice but in the subtle differences of parental expectations and personal freedoms. Kendall, the eldest of the Jenner sisters at 29, admitted to harboring a profound jealousy toward her younger sibling Kylie Jenner, who at 28 has built an empire with Kylie Cosmetics. This revelation wasn't born from resentment over Kylie's business acumen or her high-profile romances but rather from the perceived leniency Kylie enjoyed during their formative years, a leniency that allowed her a free spirit that Kendall felt was denied to her. The conversation unfolded organically during a casual recounting of their youthful escapades, set against the backdrop of their sprawling Hidden Hills home, the very estate that served as the iconic filming location for Keeping Up with the Kardashians. As the sisters reminisced, Kylie casually dropped the bombshell that she had indulged in smoking weed with friends long before Kendall ever considered it. This admission struck a chord, prompting Kendall to recall her visceral reaction at the time. "I was so mad at her. I was like, you're a degenerate." The words hung in the air, laced with the hindsight of maturity, as Kendall unpacked the emotions that fueled her outburst. In a confessional that felt like a therapy session captured on camera, she explained, "I was jealous. I was jealous that I didn't have as much of a free spirit as her at the time." It was a moment of vulnerability that humanized the supermodel, often portrayed as the poised, untouchable face of high fashion, revealing the insecurities that simmered beneath her composed exterior. To contextualize this jealousy, one must understand the family dynamics at play. The Jenner household, presided over by the formidable Kris Jenner and, during their early years, Caitlyn Jenner, operated under a regime of structured discipline that seemed to soften with each successive child. Kris, the mastermind behind the family's media empire, was known for her eagle-eyed oversight, especially on her older daughters like Kourtney, Kim, Khloe, and Rob from her marriage to the late Robert Kardashian. By the time Kendall and Kylie came along, the rules had evidently relaxed. Kylie, as the baby of the family, confessed in her own confessional, "Kris Jenner definitely got more relaxed the more children she had by the time I came around. I was definitely afraid of her and respected her, but I could get away with a lot." This parental evolution created an uneven playing field, where Kylie could push boundaries, sneaking out to the backyard cabana at just 14 to experiment with friends, while Kendall, 2 years her senior, felt the weight of expectation more acutely. The cabana sessions, as they came to be remembered, marked a pivotal rite of passage for the sisters. At 16 and 14 respectively, they would venture into this secluded oasis, a stone's throw from the main house, to partake in what Kendall described as her eventual best time ever. It was here, amid the haze of youthful rebellion, that Kendall bridged the gap in their experiences. "I eventually smoked with them and then had the best time ever. Everything was great," she shared, her tone shifting from wistful regret to fond recollection. These clandestine gatherings weren't just about the act itself but symbolized a reclamation of the freedom Kylie seemed to embody effortlessly. For Kendall, who was navigating the pressures of emerging as a model in an industry that demanded perfection from a tender age, these moments offered a rare escape, a chance to shed the mantle of responsibility and simply be a teenager. Kylie's perspective added layers to this narrative, highlighting the flip side of their dynamic. She laughed off Kendall's past judgments, noting, "She was very hard on me growing up. She was such a hater." There was no bitterness in her words, only the affectionate ribbing of sisters who have weathered storms together. Kylie's ability to get away with a lot stemmed not from favoritism but from the natural progression of parenting in a large family. As the youngest, she benefited from the exhaustion of rules enforcement on her elders, allowing her to test limits in ways that elicited eye rolls rather than outright prohibitions. This leniency extended to other facets of their lives. Kylie could host friends openly, experiment with makeup that would foreshadow her cosmetics empire, and forge her identity with less scrutiny. Kendall, conversely, often positioned herself as the enforcer, the one who internalized their mother's vigilance and projected it onto her sister, perhaps as a way to assert control in a household where chaos was the norm. Yet, Kendall's story isn't one of perpetual restraint. Even she had her share of rebellions, as evidenced by her quip during a tour of her childhood bedroom, "I lost my virginity in that room." The humor masked a deeper truth. She clarified that the milestone occurred at her then-partner's home, a detail that underscored the paradoxical parental attitude. Not only did she not know, she really didn't give a fuck. Kendall joked about Kris. She was like, "Oh, you're going out till Wednesday? Great. Never come back." This anecdote illustrates the selective indifference that characterized their upbringing. Kris was omnipresent when it came to career maneuvers but hands-off in personal milestones, especially as her daughters grew into young women. For Kendall, this meant navigating intimacy and independence on her own terms, often in stolen moments away from the family's prying eyes. This episode of The Kardashians served as more than mere nostalgia. It was a lens into the psychological underpinnings of fame's children. Kendall's jealousy wasn't about material success. Kylie may have parlayed her lip kits into billionaire status, but Kendall's runway dominance and 818 tequila venture speak to her own triumphs. Instead, it was about the intangible, the liberty to err without the shadow of consequence looming large. In sharing this, Kendall dismantled the myth of the perfect sibling bond, showing that even in a family synonymous with opulence and unity, envy can whisper in the quiet spaces. It echoed broader themes in their reality series, where confessions often double as catharsis, allowing the sisters to rewrite their narratives from victims of circumstance to architects of their destinies. As the camera lingered on their laughter, the Hidden Hills home transformed from a set piece into a character unto itself, a repository of secrets from weed-fueled cabana talks to whispered first loves. Kris Jenner, ever the orchestrator, hovered in the periphery, her relaxed demeanor now a punchline rather than a point of contention. Caitlyn, though less involved in these reminiscences, represented the early structure that shaped Kendall's rigidity. The episode wove these threads into a tapestry of growth, where jealousy evolved into empathy, and youthful antics into cherished memories.